Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanamakiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye Arthatopyadvayanandan Atitadvaita Bhanatah Guruna Radhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. Hari Om. We had seen the chapter of Samanya Adhyaropa. The teacher wants to teach about that pure consciousness to the fit student who has approached the teacher. And this consciousness is such, it cannot be shown as an object. So teacher takes the help of adhyaropa apavada method, by which the first step is knowingly superimposing attributes upon attributeless consciousness. Knowing very well that consciousness is without attributes, the teacher superimposes attributes upon this consciousness. And later, when the student is able to shift attention from attributes to the attributeless, he says, inquire into the nature of that attributeless consciousness. It is something which never undergoes modification. Nothing can really emerge out of it. So in the present state, the student is seeing the world. He sees the mind. He sees body. Not only that, he thinks himself to be the body, himself to be the mind. So the first part is to appreciate, whenever I see the body, I should at least acknowledge body plus consciousness. That is why the whole prakriya was there, whole description of how the 5 elements emerged, from that how Panchikaranam happened, and then this body came about. So every time I don't need to go through that prakriya, at least this understanding should be there, that when I see the effect, I should remember the cause. This cause-effect relationship is part of adhyaropa. So again and again, we are trying to reflect on this point. Adhyaropa is not only to define the effect. Adhyaropa is not only to define what is this body, what is this mind. That is one part of adhyaropa. The main message there, or the main reason why we are discussing this, is that mind has emerged from consciousness. Body has emerged from consciousness. If we get this point clearer in our understanding, the later part of apavada becomes easy. Otherwise, suddenly you will feel, why are they negating everything? They say there is no mind, there is no body, there is no world. So they are negating it because nothing can really emerge from that consciousness. Right? You can only negate an appearance. You cannot negate a real thing. So when the illusory snake is negated, it is negated only because no snake can actually emerge from that rope. But in the beginning, I have to acknowledge that how this snake has come from that rope. If somebody is not willing to listen, so first something has to be told. You cannot directly dismiss the perception. So that was the first part of adhyaropa. Now chapter 3 began with Vishesha adhyaropa. Vishesha adhyaropa means when it comes to individual, Jeeva, the word we had used was Jeeva Chaitanya. In that Jeeva Chaitanya, there are many erroneous things which are superimposed. Not out of lack of thinking, but these superimpositions happened after a lot of thinking. That is why it is Vishesha. These are all Darshanikas. They thought about the nature of Atma and concluded some Anatma to be Atma. How they concluded, all of that will be elaborated here. The first one we had seen was Atma Vaada, verse number 123. Misplaced identity, misplaced meaning of I. I is always immediate. But because of whatever reason, this I ended up to be something other than Aham. So we said not only Putra, you take any other outside thing that this person is attached with. That was Putra Atma Vaada. Now comes the second Darshana called as Charvak Darshana. Charvak Darshana is going to refute Putratma Vaada, and then it is going to establish no. Meaning of I is not Putra. Meaning of I is this physical body. And they are also going to give the same three set, the set of three arguments. One is from Upanishads, they will quote. They will give a logic to say why they are saying this. And third is they will show our own experience. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Three things will be pointed out for establishing their point and refuting the previous one also. So let us see 124th one. Charvakastu Sava Esha Purushonnarasamayah Sava Esha Purushonnarasamayah Ityadi Shrutehe Pradipta Gruhat Swaputram Parityajya Api Swasya Nirgama Darshanat Sthuloham Krushoham Ityadi Anubhavacha Sthula Shariram Atmeti Vadati. So this darshan is called as Charvak Darshan. Charu Vakti iti Charvaka. One whose speech is very, very appealing. Appealing not to ordinary people. Ordinary people, of course, it is appealing. Even for Vedantins, it can look appealing sometimes. Not Pakka Vedantin, only Kacha Vedantin. Means one who is still raw, whose conviction in Vedanta has not gotten established yet. For them, they will say, this is more practical than Vedanta. So what do they say? First, they quote Upanishads. They say, look at your own Taittiriya Upanishad. Although we don't believe in Upanishad, I am quoting Upanishad because of you. Charvak Darshan says, Sava Esha Purushaha Anna Rasamaya. What did Upanishad say? Purusha means Atma. That supreme truth is this Anna Rasamaya. Means that which is made up of food, Anna and Rasa, that is this physical body. That alone is the supreme truth. So why did you conveniently ignore that statement? Charvak is asking Vedanta. Or he might be asking the previous one also. Atma Vaada is refuting. He says, Atma is not Putra, Atma is Sharira, this physical body. Why do you say Atma is not Putra? Now he is giving reason. Pradipta gruhat swaputram parityajya api swasya nirgama darshanat. When there is fire in the house, literal meaning of this is, when there is fire in the house, if a person cannot save Putra and everybody else, at least he tries to save himself. At least he tries to save himself. Now, this is not always true. This is a vyabhichari hetu, means there is some, you can get other examples also. But think of it this way, even if it comes to other objects, right, whichever we have so much attachment towards, in the flight they say, right, in the case of emergency, please don't take your bags. You jump out first, bags will be there wherever they are. Means aham is more important, sharira is important than all your other koshas. Even the oxygen mask, if it comes down, put your mask first before helping anybody else. The point here is, when it comes to making a choice, this choice of preserving this body is an inherent desire in everybody. It will not be so unless their aham is in this sharira. Aham means what? That which I consider to be myself. If it was something else, then I wouldn't care much about this body. I would care about that particular thing. It's the end of the day, it comes to this sharira only. To make this mellower, traditionally the example is given of a monkey. They say there was a flood in one place, and this mother-father monkey, they first tried to save the other monkey which was there. And if they were not able to do it, then they at least came to the bank. So example you should take in the right context. The point is to show Atma is Sharira, not something outside of this Sharira. That which we love so dearly, you see, that is this body. Who is saying this? Charvak Darshana, not Vedanta. Charvak Darshana is saying this. Then he says, look at your own anubhava. Now this one is more relatable to us. Sthuloham, krushoham, ityadi anubhavachya. Whenever I lose weight, what has lost weight? So body has lost weight. What is the statement we make? I lost weight. Whenever we gain weight, body has gained weight, but the statement made is, I gained weight. So Charvak Darshan says, you see your own experience and tell me whether I refers to body or something else. Anything related to any dimension of this body, tallness, shortness, everything is considered as I. Body is tall, I say I am tall. Body is short, I say I am short. Body is tall, does not fit in the railway compartment, when you sleep on the side. But you say, no, I am unable to sleep because I am tall. So I directly goes with body. This is what Putratma Vaada. I means Sharira. Now you see, Charvak Darshan, this is the fundamental thought in their thinking. Based on that, all their other things will get decided. So if somebody feels, I am this body, what will be the concept of moksha for that person? He says there is nothing beyond this body. There is no past life. There is no future life. There is only this life. So what will be the concept of moksha? Until you live a luxurious life. Because anyway, meaning of I is this body. Body is who you are. Don't worry about any other sadhana. Because sadhana is not done for body. Even if we do fasting, the side benefit of fasting might be for physical body, but really speaking, fasting is for Jeeva. And whenever we do any action, there are two results. One result comes immediately. That is called as drishta phala. Second result is adrushta phala. It will come at a later time. At the right time, it will come. For example, if we help somebody who is in need, drishta phala is that person was happy, you felt contented. Somebody else also felt happy that there are good people who are helping without any expectation. Whatever those things are, everything was there. So that is drishta, right at that time. But the result of this good action is there is one adrushta which has formed, which will come back later as punya. That time we won't know which karma has brought which result, but that adrushta is formed. It can either come in this birth or it can also come in later births. Right? So Charvak Darshan accepts drushta phala. They don't accept adrushta phala. They say whatever is there right now, you do hard work, you will get result of that action. But don't worry about any sadhana, doing any kind of dharma. Dharma again in this context of doing something for future, purity of mind. Say what purity of mind? They are very allergic to dosha darshanam. These everything I have taken from some works. There is one Sarva Darshana Sangraha written by Vidyaranya Swamiji. So there you find few ideas about Charvak Darshan. There are verses quoted also from sutras of Charvak. They say all this Bhajagovindam, whatever Pratipaksha Bhavana is pointed, right? Look at the limitations in sense objects. Look at the shortcomings in sense objects. They say all of that is of no use. We don't have to. Charvak Darshan is saying, don't say Vedanta is saying. They say all of that is not really needed. And they give example. They say if there is very good quality rice and you have the husk covering the rice, because there is pain involved in removing the husk, separating it out, do you let go of the rice? They say in the same way, even if your joy has sorrow, means sense objects, joy which come, if they have sorrow involved, learn to deal with that sorrow and enjoy that sense object. You should be strong enough to face the sorrow which comes with joy from sense objects. You see, Vedanta uses that same point. When we come to Bauddha Darshana, we will see that. How much Lord Buddha also hammers this point. Dukkha mishrita sukham. The joy which comes from the world, it is mixed with sorrow. A seeker is the one who is seeking independent joy. So Charvak Darshan, their viewpoint is this. Only this life is what matters. There is no past birth, there is no future birth. No need to do any other sadhanas per se for purity of mind. And whenever it comes to sense objects, just go and enjoy it. Don't worry about limitations. If somebody says they're impermanent, so what? You change it. After it has finished its lifespan, take a different one and keep, enjoying. Now, if somebody has to enjoy sense objects, and they say enjoy it in a way that it is the best one that you can get. Because moksha means it has to be the superior one, right? Any ordinary one, you cannot call it as superior source of enjoyment. What if I'm unable to go for it? That sense object, what if I am unable to go for it? So it doesn't matter. You take that object home first. And do whatever it takes over a period of time to pay back for that thing. Enjoying it right now is more important than thinking about how I'm going to purchase that thing. Either do it as EMI or do it as any kind of loan that you want to take. But most importantly, enjoy that sense object. Yavat jivet, sukham jivet. Until you live a luxurious life. Runam krutva grutam pibet. Runam krutva means if you have to borrow, borrow. But grutam pibet, live luxuriously. They are not saying drink ghee. Huh? Literal meaning of that is runam krutva grutam pibet means drink ghee. They say you have to be very, very health conscious. Because if you have to enjoy bhoga, if you have to enjoy the sense objects, body has to be healthy. So this person puts forth a lot of efforts, goes to the gym, has all the diet well balanced, protein, carb, fats, everything he is perfectly balancing it, but not for doing more meditation, not for doing any other kind of sadhana or anything. He says, with this, I'll be able to enjoy this bhoga more. If I have to travel for bhoga, I need a healthy body. So he says that part, Charvak is emphasizing. So grutam pibet is not literally drinking ghee. Living luxuriously with all these resources. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutah. Once the body is burnt into ashes, where is rebirth? Where is coming back of this body? So why unnecessarily put forth effort in purity of mind, sadhana, and so on? This is just simple Charvak Darshana at a very broad level. Now, what are the good points here? Good points in Charvak Darshana are, Charvak says there is no shortcut to success. Even to be successful at a material level, Charvak Darshana says one has to be hardworking and ethical, very, very alert in terms of their transactions. If you cut corners anywhere, they say in the long run it will come back to hurt, even in transactional life. So this Charvak Darshan is what we generally see in the world in terms of efficiency, how to be more productive. Of course, Bhagavad Gita has its own perspective. It's very different from Charvak Darshan. But when it comes to diligence, when it comes to planning, foresight, all of that is part of Charvak Darshan. Lot of emphasis is also given on political science. They say you have to be very sharp in thinking. You have to anticipate the moves of your enemy before they have done it. Okay, this is Charvak Darshan. And Chanakya Niti, lot of shlokas which are there, they resonate with people more. They say this is what happens at work. I have to, not enemies, but I have to think ahead than what clients are thinking or other people are going to take as their move. So this is the plus side, the work ethics part. And even runam krutva grutam pibet. If you have to borrow, you borrow. I can only borrow when I have repaid the past. So credibility is emphasized in Charvak Darshan. At all fronts, at a personal trust level also, but more from transactional standpoint. Runam krutva is not easy. If somebody has to be given debt, given a loan, then that person has to be credible, and that credibility is the plus point. And of course, ethical life, that is important also. Now, when it comes to Pramana, means of knowledge, Charvak Darshan says, whatever you see through physical sense organs, physical eyes, ears, whatever you can gain knowledge of through sense organs, only that is authentic. What about inference? What about Anumana Pramana? They say no. Other than Pratyaksha, there is no other Pramana that you have to take as valid. And they prove also why other than Pratyaksha Pramana, no other Pramana can work. They say look at Anumana Pramana. Charvak Darshan is saying it is so shaky. They say first you tell me, where did you get the data, Vyapti? for Anumana Pramana. You see, you got it from Pratyaksha only. Vyapti, you remember, right? You have to gather data. Yatra yatra dhumaha, tatra tatra vannihi. Wherever there is smoke, there you have seen fire. So where did you get this data from? You say, I saw it in the kitchen. Wherever there was smoke, there was fire. I saw it somewhere else. Several places I saw. But wait a minute. You saw, right? Means you used your Pratyaksha Pramana. Now you tell me, even for data gathering, you are using Pratyaksha. So which one is more powerful? And then they say, if you come to Anumana and you get some data which is contradicting your Vyapti, few of them are sufficient for this entire Anumana to fall down. So you see how shaky it is? And everything else that you are going to say later, Upamana, Arthapatti, all other Pramanas are versions of Anumana only. So you cannot conclusively determine anything. Shabda Pramana also they say, how many times you have been proven wrong, and so on. See? I say, oh, I thought Shabda Pramana is the main one. I will use Anumana and everything on top of it. So Vedanta says, that is why in the beginning only Vedanta emphasized Shabda Pramana, what we are talking about is Upanishad Shabda Pramana, not ordinary Shabda Pramana. And that is not a product of human intellection. So that is eternal truth which was revealed to rishis. It is not composed by a rishi. And when we use Anumana, we say independently if you use Anumana, then you will end up like arguing like Charvak. We use logic on top of Upanishad mantra. Shrutimatas tarkonu sandhiyatam, whatever is Upanishad mantra, to establish that you can use logic. Vedanta is answering all of them, but it's just nice to see how Charvak Darshana is thinking. The whole point of studying is this. Whatever erroneous convictions we might have, or it might come, they should be removed through looking at all these other darshanas. Now, nature of Atma, according to Charvak, what do they say? They say nature of Atma is Chaitanya Vishishta Kayaha. They accept that there is something called as consciousness and they don't dismiss it. But they say this consciousness is something which is mixed up with this physical body. Means when the four elements which they accept, they come together, something happens. And the product of these four things is consciousness. Somebody might say, these four things which you are pointing out, right? The four elements, air, water, fire, and earth. These four elements are not sentient. They don't have consciousness. How come four of them came together and produced consciousness? They say, we'll give an example. These are all said in Sutra. They say, take quinoa, take sugar, and some two other things, and ferment it. The drink which comes from that has intoxicating power. Does quinoa have it? Does sugar have it? Water does not have it. How come the combination had it? They give another example of betel nut, the tobacco. I don't know where they found all these examples in there. They say the betel nut, the leaf, the line, none of that is red. But when you chew it, the color is red. So they say in the same way, these four bhutas which are there, they come together and the result of that is Chaitanya. Chaitanya is not independent, it is only incidental. When four elements come together, the result is consciousness. Now don't think these are some people who are sitting somewhere and thinking about these things. These are notions which are prevalent in the society. Consciousness is something that will be produced as a product of combination of few things. And what does Vedanta say? Consciousness is that which is the seer. Whatever is getting produced, whatever is getting destroyed is the seen. And first step is at least separate seer from the seen. Don't mix the seer into the seen. Negating the seen is the second step, but at least separate the seer from the seen. Okay. So these are all few points about Charvak Darshan. And what happened is, with time, Charvak Darshan also started evolving. For example, if somebody says, I will accept only Pratyaksha Pramana, I will not accept Shabda Pramana. Imagine how difficult his life would be. Means we get news, right, about what is happening somewhere. Now this person insists, unless I see it, I will not hear, I will not accept it. Unless I see or hear myself with my sense organs, I will not accept it. Why? Because Shabda is not Pramana for him. So gradually, this kind of lifestyle was not suited. People themselves realized that we cannot live such kind of a mindset. It will be a doubting mindset. Anything he hears, he will always doubt. Healthy, perspective towards news is good. We also say, right, that you should verify facts and so on, but not in a way that it becomes only like a doubting Thomas, right? So two categories evolved. One was called as Dhurta Charvaka. Second was called as Sushikshita Charvaka. Dhurta Charvaka means one who is there only to refute all other darshanas. Means he has no faith in any other thing. He just wants to refute that other thing. Either it is Vedas or it is any good thing that other darshanas are telling, he wants to refute it. He finds flaws in that other darshana and is only interested in arguing. That is Dhurta Charvaka. Dhurta means one who is very smart or cunning in that way. In Sushikshita Charvaka, they are honest intellectuals. They say if something is wrong with our darshana, we are ready to change. So with that, evolution happened even within Charvaka. So that's why even the next mantra you see, 125, they say Aparas Charvaka. So Charvaka is not only limited to I am this body. Those who think I am sense organ, even they are called as Charvaka. So this was the evolution that happened, Sushikshita Charvaka. So this is the next stage now. They are going to refute Deha Atma Vaada. I am this body, that Indriya Atma Vaada is going to refute. This word is simple, right? Deha Atma Vaada means one who thinks Deha as Atma. Putra Atma Vaada means one who thinks Putra as Atma. So Deha Atma Vaada refuted Putra Atma Vaada. Now Indriya Atma Vaada will refute Deha Atma Vaada. 125. Aparascharvakah teha pranaha prajapatim pitaram etyochuhu ityadi shrutehe indriyanam abhave sharira chalana abhavat kanoham badiroham ityadi anubhavacha indriyani atmeti vadati. Now there is another group of Charvakas. They say Atma is not body, Atma is indriyas. And they quote Upanishad mantra, Teha pranaha prajapatim pitaram etya uchuhu. There is a portion in Chandogya Upanishad where all the sense organs, they start quarreling. Sense organs, prana All of them start quarreling. And they have this question, who is the greatest amongst us all? They are unable to decide. So they go to Brahmaji. That is this mantra. Deha pranaha prajapatim pitaram etya uchu. So pranaha here refers to indriyani. Sense organs have gone to Brahmaji and they are asking a question. You see, indriyas have ability to speak. They have their own identity of their own. They went to Brahmaji, right? So aham or atma is indriyas, not this body. So they say, why do you say so? See, your previous thing about Deha being Atma, that is not appropriate. Why? Indriyanam abhave sharira chalana abhavat. Let us say, karmendriya, feet, they decide we are not going to move. For some time, we are not going to move. Can your body move without legs moving? So who is controlling your body? Is it indriyas or is it body itself? If hands decide they are not going to move, eyes are going for a vacation, right? That is what happens in Kalashruti. Brahmaji answers in a very diplomatic way. That one is the greatest, without whom you all cannot live. Very diplomatic answer. He doesn't answer directly. And it is said, Brahmaji did not want to hurt anybody. In Upanishad, next Bhagwan writes in Bhashya, he just gave a diplomatic answer. So each sense organ goes off. First the speech sense organ goes. And it comes back after 1 year. How was it? It's very peaceful. Everything was fine. We managed. Eyes go for 1 year. And say, how was it? He said, with sign language, we could manage. Then finally, Prana says, okay, now my turn. By the time he's getting up, everybody says, you don't go. If you go, all things have fallen apart. So like this, it is said, if indriyas are not functioning, body is not functioning. Indriyanam abhave. If indriyas are not there, sharira chalana abhavat. There is no functioning or any action that this body can do. So they say aham or I refers to sense organs. Again, anubhava is given, our own experience. If ears, the ability of ears are going down, what do I say? I can't hear. If eyes are getting, little blurry, what do I say? I am unable to see. So you say, where is this eye landing? Say, eye is landing in sense organs. So they say, sense organ is Atma. Okay, ityadi anubhavacha indriyani Atma iti vadati. Now comes another darshan. They say Indriya is not Atma. Prana is Atma. Why Prana? Because if pranas go for that vacation, what will Indriyas do? And they say, look at your own experience. Hunger and thirst belong to which kosha? Annamaya or Pranamaya? Pranamaya. Pranamaya. Hunger and thirst belong to pranas. They say if pranas are feeling hungry and thirsty, what do I say? I am hungry, I am thirsty. So they say, see where this I is going. Is it going with indriyas or is it going with prana? And if pranas are not there, indriya cannot function, body cannot function. So Atma has to be prana. And hunger, thirst, we know, if it comes, we forget our identity. Who we are, what this mind can do. Parikshit Ji Maharaj, the whole story starts with that. Right? He was hungry, thirsty, goes to that Rishi's ashrama, such a great king, and feels that this Rishi is only showing off. He's not meditating or anything, just closing his eyes. He just wants to avoid me. And then he takes that snake and puts and comes back. The main point is hunger and thirst. How much we get identified with it and how much it has an ability to affect our personality. You see this next one now, 126. Aparascharvakaha, aparascharvakaha, अन्योंतर आत्मा प्राणमयः, अन्योंतर आत्मा प्राणमयः, इत्यादि श्रुतेः प्राण अभावे इंद्रियादि चलन अयोगात अहम अशनायावान अहम पिपासावान इत्यादि अनुभवाच्च प्राण आत्मेति वदति. Aparas Charvaka. So this is all Sushikshita Charvaka. Same group, but they are having modifications in what they considered as Atma. So there is another group which considers Pranamaya or Prana as Atma, and they quote Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a gradation of indicating what is this Atma. First one was Annarasamaya. Then came Anyontara Atma Pranamaya. So once you are settled in that sadhana of Annamaya, Upasana is done, you say look within. Taittiriya Upanishad, that is a sequence. Look within. You will find Prana which is more interior to your body. And then there are more Upasanas which are mentioned there, sadhanas which are mentioned there. Then you go even further. Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, and so on. But he is conveniently taking only one part. That is what all these darshanas are doing. They don't quote the whole thing. They just take one part and they say, Atma is Prana. Taittiriya Upanishad has said. Ityadi shrutehe, and Prana abhave indriyadi chalana ayogat. If pranas are not there, indriyas cannot function. So yukti, reason also is giving. And anubhava is, if pranas feel hunger and thirst, what do I say? Aham ashanayavan. I am feeling hungry. Aham pipasavan. I am feeling thirsty. Now, do you remember something from Chandogya 6th chapter over here? There is one portion where it is said, through hunger and thirst, you can shift your attention to consciousness. Through hunger and thirst. If you are feeling hungry, they say, how are you feeling hungry? Because the water and the fire element which are there inside, they have digested the food and they have led it away from your body. So that fire element is there inside. That is why you are feeling hunger. So from fire, Teja, come to up. Come to water. Teja up, Anna. So from that fire and water element, finally come back to Maya, and then come back to Sat. From Sat, along with Maya Upadhi, all these elements have come. These elements are showing their functions in this body. What I am seeing is only an effect of that function. So through hunger and thirst, I can shift attention to Sat. Ashishishati, that was the name given for the person. Pipasati, one who is thirsty, one who is hungry. That person gets this name, but he is not only staying at that level. He is using that hunger and thirst to shift attention to that Satvastu. But here, Pranatma Vaada says, if I am hungry, I just say I am hungry. I am thirsty. So that is, Aham is referring to Prana. Okay. Now comes another darshana called as Mana Atma Vaada. They say without mind, what do pranas have of their own? If mind is not there, prana is not even recognized. Like in deep sleep, right? If mind is not there, they say prana is not recognized. That is, simple logic. There are more reasons also which are given, but we don't need to go into that. Just appreciate this point, how the next darshan is refuting previous one. 127. Anyastu charvakah अन्योंतर आत्मा मनोमयः इत्यादि श्रुतेः मनसि सुप्ते प्राणादेः अभावात् अहं संकल्पवान् अहं विकल्पवान् इत्यादि अनुभवाच्च मन आत्मेति वदति अन्यस्तु चार्वाका. Do you see something interesting here? Even Mana Atma Vaada is considered as Charvak. Means person who identifies with mind as himself, one who identifies with emotions as himself, he is still in Charvak Darshan. Bauddha Darshan starts with one who says Atma is intellect. One who thinks Buddhi to be Atma, that is Bauddha. But until Bauddha, until Buddhi, all other Darshanas are Charvak only. Anyastu Charvakaha, Anyontara Atma manomaya. They say, no. Pranas are not Atma. Look at Upanishad. What does Upanishad say? Atma is mind. Manomaya. Ityadi shrutehe manasi supte. If mind goes to sleep, pranadehe abhavat. There is no perception also of these pranas. So who is powerful? Who is more superior? They say mind is superior to prana. Now, anubhava is very, very immediate. You see what they say. Aham sankalpavan, aham vikalpavan. This person, whatever ideas he has, whatever emotions he has, if somebody praises that emotion, what does he feel? I am getting praised. And if somebody criticizes that emotion, criticizes that thought, what does he feel? I am getting criticized. Means I and mind, there is no space between them. They are considered as one. That is how he lives his life. Mana Atma Vaada, technically we might see it on paper, but we should sit down and think, how does my day go? Morning till evening, how many times do we define ourselves with mind? And how many times we get affected because of mind? Means, let us say somebody came up with a very nice point, good idea. And if another person is taking it away without giving any acknowledgement, then what do we feel? My idea is getting taken away. So idea and me, there is no space. And Vedanta asks another thing. Now this is Vedanta part, not Mana Atma Vaada. Vedanta says, okay, let us say you are mind. So he said, tell me 4 conditions throughout the day, how you define yourself with mind. So let us say early morning, I'm a very calm person. Shanta. Mind is calm, but because mind and I are the same, he says, I am calm. In the afternoon time, or when I start working in the world outside, some agitation comes, let us say. Mind has anger, this person says, I am angry. Now he got working for a few hours and everything. Suddenly, tamas, indulgence, what do you call? Indolence, laziness, that comes. So this person suddenly feels, oh, I'm such a lazy person, I don't do anything. I should be doing something, but I'm unable to do it. Now that cloud of laziness also passes away. Suddenly he feels very alert, very receptive, very productive. and he says, I am a productive person. Now Vedanta says, you said 4 statements, right? I am lazy. First one was, I am calm, I am angry, I am lazy, I am alert. 4 I's you defined. Vedanta says, which of these 4 you are? If you say you are I, which of these 4 I's are you? Because I has to be one, right? And Vedanta also asks this question, do you feel the I who was lazy, or I who was calm in the morning, I who was angry, I who was lazy, and I who was receptive, were they different people, or is it the same person? Be careful there, huh? Because Vedanta, if you just pay attention to our anubhava, what we find is, I find I am a mix of changing and non-changing. Because on one hand, I do feel what I was as a calm person, I'm not the same as angry person. What I was as a lazy person, I'm not the same as receptive person. So change also I perceive. At the same time, I don't feel I'm completely different entity which is going through all 4. So mix of changing and non-changing, this is our anubhava. Vedanta's perspective, leave aside Mana Atma Vaada. So Vedanta is trying to tell us, at least try to separate out the changing from the non-changing. The changing is the thought, the non-changing is the witness of the thought. Don't bring ahankara yet, leave that ahankara aside. If you just take the main siddhanta, I feel I am not changing, not only through the day, but through several years. I feel I have changed from child to youth to an adult, but at the same time, I don't feel it is somebody who was a child, some other person who was a youth, some other person who is an adult. There is one part which is constant, another part which is changing. Okay. So Vedanta says, I has to be something which is one. Aham is that non-changing entity. Only on that non-changing entity can you have perception of change. So that is this Mana Atma Vaada. Just appreciating how we can work with this mind. Thoughts keep changing, thoughts keep modifying. I don't have to define myself with thoughts. If I do, then I'm not in Vedanta Darshan at that point. I'm in Charvak Darshana. Mana Atma Vaada. Remember, Mana Atma Vaada is Charvak. Next comes a very important and interesting Darshana, which is Bauddha Darshana. Okay. Now we have covered Bauddha Darshan in several different, several different texts. I think Kenopanishad, we saw introduction to Bauddha Darshana with all the 4 different types. So I will not repeat that part. Something new that we can see about Bauddha Darshana, that we will see. Before we enter into the verse itself, the story of Lord Buddha is something which is very inspiring. That setting out on a quest and being single-pointed about reaching the goal. That inspiration one can see or derive from the life of Lord Buddha. We know that his earlier name was Siddhartha, right? And when he sees suffering in the world, main suffering that he sees is old age and death. He says, purpose of life cannot only be to go from womb to tomb. There has to be something deeper. That is what I'm going to seek. And that quest is for ending sorrow. He says, by adjusting anything in the world, the sorrow of old age and death is not going to go away. There has to be something else. If I get, I can put a permanent end to sorrow. And he leaves his home with this statement, Deham va patayami, karyam va sadhaya. Either I will drop this body or I will come back attaining this goal. And there are several stories, of how he comes back as a renunciate again to his kingdom. And not everybody recognizes him. And his father, looks at him and he transforms his father just through his glance. That was his power of tapasya. Convinces him to leave, his way of living and then become a seeker. And there are several other stories which are very helpful in our sadhana. He starts his sadhana with a lot of enthusiasm, no doubt, but he makes it very, very intense. So much so that his physical health starts getting affected. And he is not seeing result also. If he got his goal, then he would feel that his efforts are worth it. But neither is he seeing the result of dukkha nivritti, and on the other hand, health is going down. So then he meets somebody who was, teacher of Veena. He was passing by and he was telling his other student, when you play the Veena, if you want the right sound, you cannot leave the string too loose. It will not produce any sound. But if you tighten it too much, it will break. This much only he hears. Lord Buddha gets his message. He says, in sadhana, if we just live a life that whatever is going on, let it go on. With that, I'm not going to reach my goal. But if I become so hard on myself that I'm always under stress, always trying to seek something and disappointed that I'm not moving further, he says that is also not healthy. Both we should avoid. Ati sarvatra varjayet. Extremity should be avoided in all conditions. Next class, we will see details of Bauddha Darshana from a different standpoint. Today is just story part. Lord Buddha also emphasized on good conduct. And there are several stories with his students, disciples, which gives insights for our own sadhana, how to be more alert. There was one disciple, he went to Lord Buddha and said, whatever you have taught us, kama, krodha, lobha, you said we should give up all these things, but they are still there in me. They are still there. I don't know how to deal with them. So Lord Buddha says, this is a village which is nearby. You go there, ask bhiksha from this particular home, and you come back. So this renunciate monk, he goes there. And as he goes to that home, he sees it's a palatial house. Palatial house, beautiful. So he gets this thought, such a big house is there. I hope the food also will be delicious as this, house as big it is. So this lady of the house, she comes and she says, O Bhikshu, it looks like you are looking for food. I have prepared delicious food. Why don't you come inside and have it? He said, how did she know? Anyway, let us not go into that. He just go inside and has that food. And when he has it, this thought comes, I have come from such a long distance. Such a big house is there. What if I can rest for some time and then go? And then this lady who is serving, she says, it looks like you have come from a long distance. Why don't you take some rest? So like this, whatever he is thinking, that host is telling him before he can say it. He quickly comes back. He says, why did you send me to that home? It was something different. Whatever I wanted to think about, the host was already telling me before. He says, go again next day. Because by this time that bhikshu is afraid. He says, can that host read the mind? Whatever is there in my mind, she's already telling me this. Can she read my mind? So he sends him again. But this time he goes and he says, I'm a bhikshu. what do I have to care how big the house is? My goal is to abide in nirvana. In Buddha Darshan, this is nirvana, moksha. Why am I getting carried away by these things? So he goes with this firm identity that I am a bhikshu. Same incidents happen, but now he is a very different bhikshu. Whatever he was afraid before, all those things, he is very, very alert. Then he comes back to Lord Buddha and he says, this is what happened, I went there and this time I was so satisfied, so content that I started watching my own mind. He says that is how you should live your life. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Think of it as though the world can read your mind. And what we would want the world, to read, the same thing you should keep inside. Like this, there are several incidents with his disciples, different sadhana pointers Lord Buddha used to give. Their main text, there are 3 of them. One is called as Vinaya Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka. Pitaka means a basket. Petika, Sanskrit word. This is all in Pali language. So it's a modification of Sanskrit. So Pitika means a basket or a box. Vinaya Pitaka means that text which talks about conduct. What is their way of living? What is value system? All of that is Vinaya Pitaka. Second one is Sutta Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka means Sutra. Sutra became Sutta. All different Siddhanta, the main, Siddhanta points in Bauddha Darshana, that is said in the second one. In Sutta Pitaka, there is one text called as Dhammapada. Dharmapada became Dhammapada, which is like our Bhagavad Gita. How much reverence we have and how we follow Bhagavad Gita, right? For every perspective and so on. Bauddha Darshana, this is one of the important texts, Dhammapada. Third one is Abhidhamma Pitaka, which is talking about the doctrine and the philosophy part of it. More deeper, more intellectual discussions, everything. So actually speaking, Lord Buddha did not have much of teaching. His emphasis was on conduct. But after he gave up his physical body, disciples got together and they said we should have a systematized way of compiling his teachings. So right after that, these 3 texts were compiled. Different disciples took charge of different areas. And there are very important sadhana pointers, even in Bauddha Darshana. So those ones we will see in the next session. This we have not covered before. And then we'll continue to what they are saying as nature of Atma. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudaccha Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.